In the age of AI, everyone can clone a site like in 5 minutes. And y'all know this, they all pretty much look the same. And so the problem that we have today is that basically it's so easy to clone everything. The differentiator today is going to be about taste, experience, and how easy it is to use your app and how things feel. So I'm going to take you through this design exploration because I've been looking up some really fire stuff and I'm hoping you can get some amazing stuff from this stream. Check a look at some of these interactions right here. You're able to basically do some cool stuff, and this is all like within an app, all on the web. And I'm going to show you how we get these design systems cooking here. This is from Cult UI, and these are like some of the like landing pages stuff that they also have is available. A lot of the stuff is pretty much free to use, but you can kind of see how cool these animations look. And then they kind of resize as well. Like for mobile, they kind of do these types of things. And you can see like this is a vibe. This does not feel like it's been AI coded. It feels like it has a lot of intention behind this design here. And there's also some other interesting components that we're going to take a look at from Blocks.so. So Blocks.so a lot of these are basically built on this thing called shadcn UI. You may have heard of this, and it's like the most like infamous designer engineer who's out there right now. And what he's basically doing in the game right now is he's just kind of flipping the whole thing on his script. You can take these elements and then add them in, and they're basically your own pieces of code that you're basically putting into the app. And so these systems that these folks have designed are based off on top of this, because basically all you do is just copy the component. This is all the code that you do in here. And in order for you to get this thing, you just get that code here. If you want that cool button that we were taking a look at, all you have to do is you click this thing, you can kind of interact with it. You grab the code and you can put it in here. As an added bonus, you can have it here where it says open in V0, view as Markdown, open in Claude or ChatGPT and stuff like that. So if you view as Markdown, this entire page basically shows up as Markdown. And right now that's not working right now. But what that can enable you to do if you go open in Claude or ChatGPT is then now all of the information for how this component works and how to install it is pretty much available to the AI agent. And that's what we're going to take a look at. To make this even easier, so you don't even have to do this by hand, I'm going to show you how we can possibly get a MCP server set up or like walk through the steps here. So in order for us to get this installed, we're going to have to go through this type of thing to get this installed. It doesn't take very long, but it's all free. And what that will do is it will hook up to the shadcn MCP. And all we have to do from there is then prompt our AI agent to say, yo, make me a fire landing page using the Cult UI components. So that way we can just cook. And so it knows, it's going to know about the buttons. It's going to know about like how to do the blog stuff. It's going to know about all these different pieces that your app will need. And it's just going to rely on that. So that's the power of a design system, because going forward, a lot of your stuff is now going to look super fire and it's going to look much more consistent than any other AI coding stuff that you're doing right now. So in this live stream, if you kind of hang out with me, we're just cooking from all over the world. We got some folks over from the Cambridge, UK, also rolling in as well. We also got Marco S. Hey, what's up, man? I also got Kenneth, who's apparently dead. Hopefully you're alive, buddy. Make sure we check it up. Make sure the chat checks up on him. And we're going to really cook on this stream. I think you're going to get some good value out here. We're going to use Cursor. We're going to take a look at some of the agent stuff if you're using that. If some folks are using Claude Code, let me know in the chat. Let me know what you're using. And then I can try to see if I can show you how to configure the MCP stuff live. So we're just going to be doing everything live here. I think this is kind of like the best way to go. Stuff changes so quickly, and I think we're going to set ourselves up for success. I'm also going to see if I can show you some of my techniques for skills and some of these other things. If you want to find these templates, I have them available inside of the description for the YouTube channel. So you can go and find these templates and these links to these templates, like the shadcn UI stuff and that type of stuff there. So if we go here, there's a directory that shadcn has, and then this directory is where I was able to find these components. So you can kind of see Clerk has one, Blocks.so is in here. This is where I found the, this is like, if you want to see other components that are based off that same system, all of these people are building stuff in here. Magic UI is also one of my other favorite ones, and we can take a look at that as well. I've designed a lot of sites basically using this type of system, and it's so fire how fast you can build with these things. Each of them have components, and these components can do cool stuff. You can see there's like some new things called a story. So this has like a story thing. This is like, I think there's like a blog template. There's like marquees. There's like, there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can build with. And I think for me, like if you can just hook these up, really start cooking. So that's what's up. This is like, look at this design component with the blurs. Cool. So that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, cool. So let's see. Let's take a look. So one of the cool things that I wanted to take a look at is just this thing here called, this is called UI. And so there's these examples that I was showing you here. And if we go back to the actual components, there's like this family drawer. So you can do these types of pop-ups that come up like this. But this is an interesting one too, because if you click this button, you see how it just takes over the whole screen. That's a really cool interactive design. I like this a lot because you can just make fire landing pages. Like this is your landing page and you hit here, it's like, whoa, it just takes over the whole screen. You don't have to have a form that comes up. You can have other elements. You don't have to have it take up the full screen. And so if you wanted to understand what's happening there, I'm gonna go over that right now. Basically, once you install the components, this usage can actually be very useful for you. So if you understand how this stuff works, you're gonna be much more powerful at guiding the agents. And so there's these thing called props, and these are little things that you can pass in to like the parameters for those components, and they will modify things. So you can say, I want a different border radius. I want to content, I want a different animation duration. So maybe I want it faster, maybe I want it slower. These types of things are the things you want to look at. And that's the wording that you'll use to describe to the AI agent. So you make sure you want to at least review some of these things. That's going to help you become a better developer over time with understanding how the design systems work. And you'll start to pick up some of these things. Because a lot of the stuff that I'm looking into, I'm basically gearing myself into trying to learn to become a better designer. But also I want a certain feel for my sites and everything like that. So that's what I like to do. And I like to kind of work with these types of systems. And the way you can do it is just kind of reading some of the documentation to kind of help us understand kind of what this is. If you don't know any of this stuff, obviously you can plug it into the MCP, but the more time you invest in something like this is going to pay off huge dividends. And I highly encourage you to at least start taking a look at some of these things and seeing what they're doing. Let's see, there's expandable card. So I like this concept too. The reason why is that you can hide a lot of information that isn't necessary, and it allows viewers to scroll through items like this, like weather and stuff. You don't need to see every single item, but if you want details, you just click it, right? So all the extra details are basically hidden underneath and they're revealed. Same with this, right? Now you can add to cart. That's pretty fire, right? That's cool. So for the design sync, you can see this, join meeting, open chat. This is awesome. In order for me to just put this in, all I have to do is just go to the code and either copy this code snippet or just tell Cursor to install it, or just run this command to actually install it. So you could just do bunx. You can do PNPM, NPM, all these other ones. And this is the component. So this is basically what you would get that would be put inside of your code, and Cursor would know, how to reference this. You can just copy the page and say, I want to install this component. So yeah, that's what it is. We can also say, I think, open in V0, which is crazy. So yeah, this is interesting. Minimal card, this is cool. I'm just exploring stuff. I'm just having fun exploring things because this is really cool. I think the app that I want to build right now would be kind of trying to see if I can do distorted glass. This is fire. Wow. Okay, this is amazing. So morph surface, cool. So we can see how the surface kind of pops up like that. You go from a little button, you're do feedback, and it just pops right in. It's just very enjoyable. This is really fun to watch. And then when you're done, you can just hit enter, and then it submits the feedback. So a lot of the things too, some of these things have the accessibility built in, and that's really, really nice because now you don't have to add that code in as well. So here's a toolbar example. So they'll have you can actually see how the toolbar at the top expands these things here at the bottom, a little guide here. So you can say project setup, download options. It's a little bit confusing sometimes, but it's okay. That's why you want to play around with these things. Squiggly arrows are really cool. So that you can put these into your apps anywhere in your UI, and you can point to things, and you can have these different types of directions, up, down, colors, and stuff like that. And when you put them in, they're just going to be literally feel like makes your kind of elements just kind of come up and look a little cooler. It doesn't look so flat. You know what I mean? So these are really cool. Let's see, logo carousel is kind of cute. We also have a tweak grid video player. It's a custom video player with custom styling as well. This is really cool. I like just exploring some of these designs. This is amazing. So you can put this behind a card or something, and you can just do some cool stuff here. Wow. But these configurations can all be changed. So if you want the dot pattern to be like this, and then maybe you want the opacity to be lighter or darker, and then we'll change the dots to orange. Now we have an orange and blue thing. Like if you want to do Warriors, because the Warriors are the best team in the world right now. No. Let's see. People are going to get mad. It's okay. They are the best. Let's see. We got orange and red. Yeah, you can do cool stuff. And we have waves. So we can do like wave intensity. So when we tweak these parameters, you can see how cool it is here. The radius for the waves can like go up bigger. And it has like a bigger little radius thing. We can have effects as well, like noise, and introduce noise with like a mouse glow or something like that. So we have like this cool pattern. You might have seen this in some websites. Performance, you could just do low performance, just like super like snappy and stuff. That way it doesn't take up too many resources. And then you can just copy the configuration, and then now we can just put that into our app. So like once you install the component, it's just basically a configuration file. So these are the configurations that you would modify inside of that component, and then you'll have this exact intensity that you're seeing here for that type of thing. So that's the way it works. You could see the usage. All you do is once you do that bun install, we would then basically grab those like values and just put them in here, and you'll see that stuff update, which is nice. So that's the part of the stuff we're talking about props. These get passed into these little components that go in here. And then that's what makes your UI update. That way you don't have to write a lot of code and everything. So yeah, that's kind of cool as far as like how the stuff is looking here. And then this is just a little overview of how this stuff kind of works here. I found these blocks interesting for AI because if we do test, I think this is just let's see. So you can, I think what I want to do is maybe I want to see if I can build an idea. So I have this idea because it came to me from a neighbor, and I want to share a little bit of a story. So my neighbor had a stroke and she was traveling remotely. And what happened was that she had all these documents that needed to be translated from French to English. She went around and she got a quote, and it was going to take about a week, and they were going to pay like $4,000 to $5,000 to translate it. She hit me up in like 5 minutes. I got the whole thing translated. And her husband had tried different translation tools like Google and a bunch of other things, and that didn't really work. And the formatting was completely off as far as all the charts and everything. So in the age of AI, naturally, I started to find different solutions. And I thought, I returned it back to her and I was like, here you go. And she's like, how did you get it done so fast? They were going to charge us all this money. And I said, well, like, I'm using AI and stuff. She's like, my husband tried, and he's like a techie and everything. And that was just kind of an interesting thing. So the doctors reviewed it. It was like 20 pages of stuff, like, like charts and everything looked like that, all translated from French to English. And they were able to make, decisions on her health based off that. And I thought, wow, that's really crazy. Like it wasn't regulated. It doesn't need to be regulated. They just needed something to reference to understand what's going on. And I thought this would be an interesting business idea, because since then, she's hit me up with different bills that she's received from these hospitals that she can't read, and they're trying to understand what that happens there. So when you put some of this stuff into the ChatGPT as well, it doesn't necessarily always do a good job of translating too. So there's a couple different surface area opportunities, and I'm telling you this publicly because it doesn't really matter about the idea. It just matters about the execution and the feel. And so if you get into the ChatGPT store, which is going to ChatGPT and say, translate PDF something, you can then your app can start surfacing for people when they want to translate. They will just attach it. And if you can do this reliably where it works amazing, you'll have 800 million customers ready to start using your app as fast as possible, which is kind of insane. So that's kind of where I'm thinking with this idea is like, I want to see if I can take you through, how do I get this stuff set up? This is my initial idea. How do I orchestrate an actual plan for this, for the architecture? And how do I get people to actually sign up, with accounts, databases, and payments and everything like that? So this is something, if you're interested in watching, I'm going to try to see if I can build this out for this coming month and see how this kind of turns out. I feel like this is something that a lot of people have been requesting. It's like they want to see me go from like an initial idea to then how do I actually start from zero and start from scratch and start to build all these things. There's a lot of different processes and there's a lot of different ways to do this. I'm going to show you my methodologies and my stack. And it sort of starts a little bit with the design, and it sort of starts with the idea as well. So I think that's what I'm going to start getting into right now. I feel like with these templates up here, it's going to allow us to start to kind of gauge in as far as where we want to get this idea out to feel it. And we kind of sort of have to start with like a landing page, I feel, like to get people to sign up. And then I'm going to use, my favorite database to use is going to be Convex. And then I'm going to use Clerk for the authentication. And then also for payments, I'm actually going to try out Stripe. And so the reason why there's a Stripe component with Convex that I think Ross Mickey just made up. So he's the one that's like, it has a thing where you can actually integrate the whole thing in like 10 minutes. So this is a new Stripe starter component. I think, is it under here, Stripe? So with Convex in here, if we go to the, I'll have to hit it up, but we're going to take a look at this. But what it will allow us to do is from our web browser, will allow us to start a payment. It will put it into our database and do all these different queries and stuff to handle everything. And so typically this used to be really like long and drawn out. It took me a little while to get set up, but I want to walk you through this process because I feel like this is really important for me to share back. I know a lot of other people are trying to actually ship their apps. And the reason why I'm building with Next.js, why I'm building with Convex, why I'm building with Stripe, and also with Clerk, right, for authentication. While we can code, we're basically doing what people are terming now as like agentic coding. So as an engineer, I have concerns for security. I have concerns for databases and scaling and all these cool things. And so because I want this app to scale to like 800 million users, I could start right here, right away. And it really won't take us very long, I hope, to get started. But then there'll be other considerations that we're going to continue to unfold along the way. So it's not like something that this is already pre-built and I'm just kind of following a thing. You're going to see me actually prompt and fail and do these things, and you're going to see, hopefully pick up all these nuggets along the way. So if you're kind of interested, let's go ahead and stick around as we start to kind of put this idea together. And I'm going to show you how I start out with. So one of my favorite ways to start out with is just going to Claude. And what I have come up together, I've made a skill. And the skill is like an architecture skill. So this is something where I start out to ask questions and kind of tell it about my basic thing. And so I'm going to see if I can start out with the scope here so we can see if we can do this and see how we're going to do this. Okay, so let's try this out. I'd like to build a really minimal MVP for my idea. And my idea is to take PDFs and translate them into another language. And the tech stack that I'm going to want to use is going to be Next.js. It's going to be Tailwind v4 with shadcn UI. I'm also going to use the components from Colt UI. And the other component that I'm going to use is from Blocks.so for some of the AI stuff that they have there, as well as Clerk for authentication, Convex for the database. And I'll be deploying this on Vercel, so I'll be using Vercel Blob, and that's where I'll have the PDFs uploaded. And I'm planning to use the AI gateway, and the model provider that I will use from the AI gateway will be one of the Mistral models to help me with this task to read the PDFs and do the translations, because it's really important to have the layouts look really beautiful and preserve, it seems to have like the best preservation of the layouts there. Okay, so there we have this thing. And then I'm going to add some more information. So I basically, if like what I've done so far is, let me see if I can tell it something else. So I have this idea plus, I think there's, let me see if there's anything else. So there's a PDF, there's this, okay. I want the scope for this idea to be really small, because I just want to prove that there's other people like this who want to do this type of thing. It started out from helping my neighbor who had a health issue while she was traveling remotely, and they were trying to translate these 22-page documents from French to English. And the stuff that they had used before, we were only able to do a couple of pages, and it was just not able to preserve the markdown, not able to preserve, what was it? Not able to preserve charts and other items in the images. Okay, cool. I want this to be a very simple looking like app, because people who initially used this concept had trouble already with existing stuff on the market. And my friend is in their 70s. So keeping things simple without a lot of UI and distraction is going to be the key here. Think about the way that Apple designs their products and the way that Dieter Rams focuses a lot about design hierarchy and keeping things very clean and simple, but very obvious as far as what to do next. Okay, let me see if there's any other stuff that I want to put in here as far as like what I'm thinking. So here I have like the minimal idea. I have the actual stack that I'm thinking about. And let's see, the scope as far as what I'm thinking is for like how big I want it. So as far as scope, that just means like small, medium, or large, you know? So I just saying small MVP, I just want one thing to do it. So the feeling I get is like, as soon as I start using this app, it's pretty obvious that I'm supposed to put a PDF in there, and then it sort of walks you through the next step. And then the next step, it just kind of unveils automatically. We don't have to have these crazy dashboards for the user to confuse them or anything. It should just be almost feel like it's intuitive for them. And then I think, what's the other thing? Okay, so I have the registry, shadcn, Colt UI. Okay. Please use my architect skill to review this and generate an architecture plan for this. Okay, cool. To review this, generate an architecture plan for this. Feel free to ask me any questions. Whoops. Any questions you may have for this process. Okay, cool. So that's my whole prompt. And here we go. Ray is about to show us how to get one of them houses with 5 kitchens. Bruh. Why are you using Convex and not Supabase? Why are you using Supabase and not Convex, bro? That's the opposite question. No, so Convex is probably one of my favorite databases. And I think the most important thing is the fact that like, there's only like really 3 basic functions / concepts that you have to integrate / deal with here. And one of them is basically the concept for Convex specifically is that they have like actions, which is basically the database itself going to make a request on your behalf. So like going to talk to an API endpoint and returning that back. And then there's queries, which basically sit on your front end, which is your actual web app, the people who are actually going to their thing. And so what's special about this relationship is they basically set up a WebSocket to the database. And the way that you want to think about your data is now everything could just sit on the actual database provider. So any states that you would normally set up on the front end to expect data to be loaded, you don't have to write all that code. And it's really nice because then it separates the concerns. The second part of it is everything is written in TypeScript. So the TypeScript database, TypeScript front end, TypeScript backend. AI systems are extremely good at this type of thing. So because you don't have to write extra scaffolding, which means extra boilerplate code that would sit on your front end to run and update types here, and then like check on the data on the back end and make sure everything's kind of in sync. You know, when you deploy a function or anything like that, it's just already TypeScript on the back end. And then there's also validators that are built into Convex. So you'll see I'll actually have a command that I run, bunx convex dev. That's running all the time actually. And then whenever there's a change, it checks for everything that's on the back end. It's like, hey, you don't have any validators that are coming out to make sure that the values are established. So that's something as far as tooling that's completely built into Convex. So there's reactivity. Your front end app will just feel super responsive. You can open up many windows and so forth. And it's just really beautiful as far as like how things feel like they're instant. You don't exhaust your AI with all these extra tokens because the data structure on the back end is there and it's pretty much the source of truth. Now you have like really, really great visibility for your apps to write software and do things. And then the integrations as well, like connecting them to these different components, being able to organize your data this way. I feel it's a huge strength of Convex that people are just starting to discover now. And people had used Supabase by default to do all these things. And yes, you can write SQL queries, you could do all these things, but I find Convex such a smoother experience. You do have to have some Convex rules established, but the AI systems are getting way better compared to like last year with this type of stuff. So that's kind of it. Like there's no ad here. I wish it was an ad, but it's okay. Like I feel like this is, everyone who's been watching these streams with me for the last year and a half, I've been talking about this system before everyone started talking about it. And this is just like my favorite part of the stack right now that I like to use. So just FYI. And say, let's see if we can go here. So this is great with a meaningful origin story. Love the Dieter Ram's Apple design thing. Timeline. When do you need this MVP live? Bruh. I need this MVP live ASAP. I got to get that house with like 5 rooms. Oh, okay. And then auth clarifications. You mentioned Klein for authentication. Oh, come on, Whisper. For auth, I meant clerk. My transcription app failed there. So that should say clerk as it into, well, with convex. Okay. Did you mean clerk? Oh, perfect. Klein is an language scope for MVP. Beyond French, English, would the MVP support other languages? Yeah, by default, I think it could support other languages. Let's see. For the MVP, I think by default, we can get a lot of other languages. And I think it can even auto-detect, especially if you just have the person say that they want to translate it to English. I believe our system should be able to pick up what language the origin document is and then translate to the desired outcome that the user wants. For the most part, I think will be English, but we may present something to the user if they want something other than English. Okay. And then what else do we have here? So file constraints. Any thoughts on a maximum PDF size? Helps me spec the Vercel blob and Mistral API chunking strategy. I don't have an idea for the max PDF size, but if you can use the Exa MCP to do some research along with Ref Tools MCP, that could be helpful here so that we can understand what this constraint is. Okay. And what else? Success metric. How would you know this MVP worked? X people use it. All I have to do is use it and then get one other person to pay, which is how I will know that this MVP works. The basic flow is put the PDF in, translate from French to English, and if it gives us the output that's visually similar to what the original PDF or the original iPhone image is for some of these documents, then we know that this actually is working, and then we can work from there to add these other features. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now we're telling it to do this thing. Yo, man, you're in for a treat. We're going to make something really, really cool using some of these design systems. So we'll see. Tanstack, not Next.js. Tanstack. So the reason why I'm using Next.js is because it's the best in the world. No, I'm just playing. Tanstack Start is still fairly new, and I haven't had a lot of time with it yet. And when I was trying to use it, especially with like AI coding, the problem I had is the integration with Clerk, my favorite authentication provider, Convex, and that whole system working together. There was a lot of breaking changes that were happening version to version. So I would update the version and it would just break everything. I'm like, oh my God. So there's this weird dependency thing where you have where like, okay, Clerk hasn't updated their thing yet, but Tanstack's up here and I need to upgrade for a security issue and like, so it becomes a little crazy. Luckily, Next.js, Clerk, and Convex have been playing along for so long. As far as like advantages and disadvantages at this MVP stage doesn't really make a difference. If we scale up, it also doesn't really make a difference. And because a lot of stuff that I've been using already works really well, I think to me, it doesn't really matter at this stage. It just, MVP. I just got to get people to pay. What's going to be the fastest way to do that? Which AI agent can help me do that, right? Like that's kind of the thing. I want to spend less time having my agents trying to learn and update rules for Tanstack and more time on the product and the UI and the experience and actually talking to my neighbors and getting that feedback loop as fast as possible. And I think this is going to be the stack that's going to help us here with this. Yeah. All right, let's see what's happening now. So research findings. So Vercel supports 5 terabytes with multi-part uploads. Damn. But serverless functions have a 4 body. Okay, cool. Larger PDFs might need client-side direct uploads. Okay, this makes sense. So Mistral OCR is perfect fit. They have dedicated OCR, $2 for 1,000 pages, extracts content from PDFs while preserving structure. And then Convex Clerks is well documented. And then the Vercel AI Gateway has the Mistral Large 3 for translation and can use the OCR API directly for extraction. Perfect. So here's our recommended confirmation. So this is my using the skill that I have. If you're part of my Discord, you have access to this skill. I have a skills section and you can grab this architecture file and do this exact conversation, right? Just yap in your idea, tell it the size and scope of the idea that you want, and then it'll generate a nice plan for you. All right, so then we have the front end, which is this. We have Blocks.so, Colt UI, Convex, Clerk, Vercel Blob, Mistral, perfect. This is perfect. This is like a really simple, great MVP. We're going to upload the PDF, extract the content, translate, and then regenerate PDF server side for the translated document. Perfect. For the MVP, I suggest keeping the output as downloadable translated PDF that mirrors the original layout, just not raw text. Makes sense. Before I generate the full spec, do you want me to preserve the exact visual layout? We need more complex PDF in addition, or the clean, readable, translated document? Yes. Okay, this is perfect. The is sufficient for the MVP. This is what my friends used to give to their doctors in the US, and they were able to get treatment from this. Okay, letters, chapter. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Okay, cool. So here's our idea. It's being developed, and hopefully we're going to have our next $1 billion SaaS, right? No, I think I hate that type of content, to be honest. Like, I'm not here to sell you on like, do this type of workflow and it's going to generate $1 million, or by the end of this video, you're going to be like, I'm so tired of that stuff. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of watching like 50 YouTube videos are like, today you're going to make $1 million if you do this type of thing. I'm going to show you. I've been making 40 million apps, and you can see from my house with the Lambos and everything in the back that I rented or have like Google Gemini generated. It's all back here. It's like, yo, chill. Like, I'm just trying to build with AI. I'm just trying to vibe out right now. I'm just trying to hang out with y'all, and everyone else is coding with AI too. So like, everyone's all of a sudden going to be trillionaires. Like, I don't think so, bro. Like, y'all need to chill right now. So this is what we do. We ship software, but like, we take a look at what's actually happening, what's really real. We're going to see a bunch of mistakes. We're going to see a whole bunch of stuff happening, but we're seeing Anthropic using my architecture skill right now to architect a diagram for us with code and everything. And it's basically just starting off with the idea that we yap. So this is what I call my yap to app framework. I could just yap in the stuff I want. Obviously, I have a lot of experience, making software, scoping things, and doing stuff like that. But this is why I want to share this process. And this is basically what it's generating for us. And then we're going to go through the next steps and see how we can incorporate some of these like different ideas for like what we want our different UI states to be, how we're going to start our different process to kind of walk people through some type of like workflow like this, right? Like, this type of thing is really cool to see because these can be very helpful, especially on mobile, right? If you're doing something on mobile, this is how it's going to look like for someone to, understand what's going to be happening in your app. Like, how do we convey those things? How do we convey these ideas so that people know that this is what's happening in their app? And we're able to leverage, some of these things that are currently here. And that's what we're going to be able to do. And so we're starting off with like this app idea that is literally being written for us right now, which is really cool. And if this is something you're really interested in check out startmaya.ai. So start.my.ai. This is something that I'm going to be running in like February or so. So in February, what I'm going to be doing is going to be, I put the link in the thing here. So just go ahead and put your name on the email list. It's pretty much free to just get on the email list right now. And so what I'm doing here is I want to see if I can take you through the same process that I'm literally doing on this live stream right now. So we're going to go from idea to deployed in like 3 weeks. So that'll be like auth, payments, and these different things. If you've been struggling with this and you've been having some problems, this is going to be a small group cohort. I'm only going to have 20 spots available, and that's what's going to be happening. So there's going to be like broken down into 3 weeks. So that way you'll have homework. You can try stuff out, and then you'll meet back up again. So we're going to do like Tuesday and Friday meetings. And we'll just like get the stack set up, kind of like what we're doing today. We're going to go over like the how to do some of the routing stuff, get your Clerk authentication set up, try things out, break things, set up Convex as well. And then like, do the Stripe integration and everything. So by the end of the whole thing, after 3 weeks, you should have something that can be deployed, that it will be deployed, that will be accepting payments, have auth login and all that stuff. This is something I've been doing like probably for the last year or so or more live, and like learning with you live as well. And a lot of people have, found a lot of value to the stuff I do. So all you have to do is put your name on the email list, join the wait list, and I'll be reaching out because this is still something that I'm still starting out. And this is like an idea that I thought a lot of people have wanted a lot of my time, and people have entered my Discord, but I don't have enough time for a lot of people individually. And so I think the best way is to do it in this like cohort like fashion, so I can work with a smaller dedicated group of people. You'll probably be one of 20 that I'll get to work with. I don't want it to be too big. And that way it just feels like much more intimate. You can ask me questions during these sessions, and then I'll give you some assignments that you'll complete and so forth. So I want everyone to be successful. And I think in the age that we're building with AI, if you have someone to lean on who you can ask questions to, it's so valuable. And I think that's kind of what it is. It's probably not right for the person who's already done this millions of times. So like, it's probably not for you. But if you want to, like, if you're still kind of getting started, or if you've tried stuff in other platforms and you kind of want to move it over, this is probably going to be your best bet to kind of do that thing with our stack here. So that's what's up. Yeah, so that's what's up. That's startmy.ai. Check that out. Let's see. Okay, so we have this here. Let me generate your full architecture spec for you. So here's the spec now. So, and by the way, you'll get all the files and everything that we talk about here as part of that cohort. So, everything that I'm doing, any new files I generate as part of that cohort will also be included as well. A lot of these files and things have all come from live streams or working with people directly one-on-one, where I've generated data model files or other things that I talk about here on the stream. So it's cool. Everyone kind of benefits anyways. But you get it first. So we have when trillions on graduation day, bro. I talked to you about that already, bro. Nah, you can't be doing that. You got to come in here and just vibe. Mistral extracts your PDF structured, preserving the headlines. Cool. Then we generate a clean PDF. Total cost for a 22-page doc is 5 cents. This is amazing. So the technical details are client-side for cell blob. Bypasses this. Okay, the convex action triggers a pipeline. And then we have upload, processing, and download, which is great. We have the foundation. So 6-day sprint ship. We'll have this. And then we upload to the blob. I mean, it says 6 days, but literally I think Cursor can just do this in one prompt. Let's see. Okay. Well, we're not going to tell Anthropic this. All right. So the spec includes the Stripe for the convex schema, Mistral integrations, and upload processing. Cool. This is actually a fairly simple app, is what I'm thinking. But then we're going to have to basically kind of go in and see if we can kind of get some of the other stuff set up. So the code name is doc translate, and this is the project overview. So I'm just going to review this. So this is like a simple 70-year-old neighbor can use it, upload a document. So the origin story is here, and then the single perf is here, and then the success metric, Ray uses it successfully, one other person pays for it. Very simple success metrics. Here's our tech stack. So we're going to use these UI components. I love how it's calling these out. So shadcn, convex, blocks, perfect. React PDF render, perfect. And here's our high-level diagram. So there's an upload screen, there's a processing, and there's a download screen. Hits the Vercel blob, and then we hit convex for the users. The users will actually talk to the processing pipeline, which will include translations and usage. So this translation will probably be a key saying, I want to translate to English. And then the usage will probably keep track of how many documents and things. And so this will hit the processing pipeline code. So like these are like little areas of concern / code. Mistral will extract it, translate it, and then give us a PDF. So this is the data flow, which is great. So the user drops a PDF, uploads it directly to Vercel blob. And then this is exactly kind of what we're seeing here, which is kind of just spelled out. Here's our data model, which is cool. So the data model now talks about the schema. So the schema will say, this is a user from Clerk. We have the name, email, and when they were created, and any translations. So this would be the user ID, the source URL. And so what I can do is I can say, can you generate a data model file so that I can visualize this? I think I'm going to try to see if we can do that. This is a really great architecture. Can you now generate a data model file so that I can visualize how the data from the backend will interface with the front end parts of the app? Cool. Let me just add that in here. So this is looking pretty good so far. Here's the PDF processing pipeline here. So we have the action that will go out to process the actual transcription. This is pretty cool. Mistral OCR integration. This is nice. Awesome. Translation here. Great. There's even a prompt that's included. I think it pretty much, bro, Opus is crazy right now. Here's the API design. Sheesh, bro. Oh my God. Vercel blob endpoint. Let's go. Oh my goodness, bro. Oh my God. Okay. Jesus. I mean, it literally gave us a whole app. The download step. This is nice. Oh, wow. So here's the authentication flow. The user lands on the app, sees the UI, upload UI, no auth required to view, drops a PDF, Clerk modal appears for the sign up. After auth, upload continues seamlessly. I kind of don't like this flow, to be honest. I just want some type of I just already want them to be authenticated. I think I might just change that up. I think that'd be interesting. The Clerk Convex setup. So for Clerk, we want, let's see, this is just how to set it. Yeah, that's just basic thing. Here's a webhook for getting the users from Clerk. Okay. And then here's the UX screens that we'll have. Perfect. And then here's the design tokens. These are really nice for Tailwind CSS v4. I don't know exactly what colors these are. Here's the file structure for our app. This is looking great. This is the fire architecture plan. Okay, so here is the, okay, data model. Here we go. Can it give us the whole thing? I want to see if I can visualize it. Okay. I want the sequence diagram and everything. Okay, so let me download this too. Translation, data model. So the mermaid diagrams will render in GitHub Notion VS Code. Okay, let me see if I can pop it into Notion or something. Yeah, let me see. So what I'm going to do is going to see if I can load up my Notion. So that way we can get this set up here in Notion. Because I want this to be rendered. Let's see if I can do example here. Okay. My Notion's acting kind of funny. Okay. Okay, cool. So I have this here. And then let me see if I could just pop in the file and put it in here. Cool. It doesn't, oh, it does render it, kind of, sort of. Okay, let me see if I could show you this real quick. This would be here. Okay, perfect. So we have the entity relationship diagram, and then it has this little, okay, like the users are tied into the translations. And so these are the keys. And then this is like the numbers. So like this is tracks, and this is like actual usage that it will track. And then here's the data flow diagram. So we have this data flow, and here, can we zoom in? Zoom in, I think it's 100%. Okay, cool. Nice. Okay, so we have, this is what's really cool about like having AI help us with this. So we have the front end app here, and this has like a download step. Oh, this is so horrible. Okay, anyways, this goes to the mutation action, and then this is the database, and here are the queries. So this is the external services like Mistral. So this is what I was talking about when, you know, as far as like app architecture design and what Convex does. So like all of this stuff is real time. So we have real time for like the queries. And so here's where the queries kind of map to the real time processes for like the download step and the processing step. So whenever these steps change, this is going to show up in real time with Convex in our app. So as we're basically waiting to hear from the external services, in this case, Mistral Large and so forth, this is back here. So once we hear it back, this will update these queries, and then that's what you will see in the front end. We'll see like stuff kind of reactive automatically, which is cool. And then here are the UI components, will be like the functions that will run to get the information. And then here's the upload steps. So this is the file, and the file goes to Vercel blob, and the Vercel blob basically goes to a URL and then updates the processing step, which is what we'll see because of the way that the Convex works. And then from here, the UI components will say, hey, what's the current thing that's happening? It's like, cool, here's a schedule. We're going to basically run this to the database, and the queries are just going to be live updating the backend and everything here. So this is looking pretty hot. I like this. The state machine and the translation status. So this is the state machine. So when a user drops, this is what's going to happen for the upload. This is what's happening for the extraction. This is really cool stuff for you to review and learn how apps are architected. So having documents like this, asking for a data model file, will help you understand how to like think about your apps so that you can better like speak to the model the next time. Or you can give it this and say, I want to add this next feature. If you want to learn more about the data model stuff, I actually have a video on my YouTube channel. So there's a video somewhere, am I over here? Just go through my channel. I have one, it's called Data Model. I think it's called like something Vibe Code Your AI. I should change the title. It says something about Vibe Code Your AI slop or something like that. Or don't Vibe Code your AI. I'll find it. But I'll probably actually link it in the description below as well. But I talk about this. It's called like a data model file. And it is very helpful to understand what's happening with the design of your app. So that way you can make better decisions for how things are going to flow. You can see stuff like this for the way that the React components are going to work, a real-time subscription flow, and like these types of documents are very, very handy. Like it just, you know, Opus just gave us all of this. Super great. So wow, this is amazing. Convex usage, query patterns, so much stuff. Yeah, if you want to go review, go crazy. All right, so let's go back to Opus. Okay, so Opus says, we have these sequence diagrams, data shapes, actual JSON samples as well. This is amazing. So you want me to generate anything else before you started building, component wireframes, API contracts, or should we just start cooking? I think what I might start doing is then just start to pop open a cursor, but I have to go bathroom so bad and everything. So let's see, 45 minutes. Okay. So I think what I want to do now is just get started. What I'm going to do is go into here and just basically give it the architecture diagram, architecture document and so forth. So I think, okay, cool. Let me just go here. So in here, what I want to do is, I think what I want to do is just go ahead and start a new project. Open project, file, new window with profile, new folder, open project, new folder. I think I'm going to just call it, whoops, here we go. So what I'll do is new workspace. Hold on, still kind of get familiar with this new UI thing here. So I like to put stuff in a folder called workspace. This is where all my apps are. And I'll call this doc med PDF. Okay, or translate PDF. Okay, great. Okay, cool. So here's our translate PDF. And then what I'm going to do is put in some of these documents that I downloaded earlier. So I'm going to have the architecture document and put that in there. And then I'm also going to grab the data model as well. So that's kind of in there. So I'm going to open. And so cursor will open this up. And in here, we have in our root directory, everything that's in here so far. And so what I'm going to do is now is just like, this is basically the agent window. And so with agent with 4.5, I can just give it the architecture diagram. And this is basically what we want to go ahead and build. So what I want to go ahead and do is work through and see if I can set up our registries first. So the most important thing to set up here is going to be Colt UI. So in here, what we have to do is just install it. And so the components are designed. So I think I want to also tell it, I think it should be able to install this for us. But the other thing is going to be the MCP server. So how do I get this installed inside of Cursor? I think I just do bunx shadcn latest init client cursor. So open cursor settings. So I think this would basically initialize shadcn with like the MCP. And I think we'll see if I can do this here. So let's go ahead and see if I can do this. And so to open the terminal, you can just hit toggle panel down below and it says, yes, I'd like to update. Cool. All right, cool. And then Command K would clear everything out and then paste this in. So this would install the MCP client for Cursor. Okay, new MCP enable. Perfect. Cool. So this will get the shadcn MCP enabled for us. And so now the configuration is saved here. And so what I want to go ahead and do is take a look and see if I can update that. So I don't want to expose any keys. And what I'm going to do temporarily is to switch to this screen. And then I'm going to work on my screen right now just to make sure I don't expose any keys, because sometimes some of my keys show up here. But in this case, it doesn't. So this is really cool. Let's go back here. All right, so here we are. So when I clicked the .cursor MCP JSON, it just shows how it set it up automatically just from that key command. And that way it's our own project is aware about how this type of thing works. So we have our package JSON for dependencies. We even have the thing installed for this here. So I wonder if you can use Cursor and Opus to generate such project spec, or do you want to use Claude Web, or do you explain why? So I think Claude on the web is phenomenal. I found in my experience when I speak to it about architecture diagrams or prompts and stuff like that, especially with that architecture skill file. I don't know what it is. It does really, really well. I have done this in Cursor as well. I haven't done it very recently. I'm pretty sure Cursor will do just as good as job. But I would have a skill file and I could probably give that to Cursor as well. Say, read the skills file and learn how to make this and ask me more questions, especially in plan mode. And we could probably have like a nice big plan. But in my workflow so far, especially with all the MCPs and everything that's been set up, I already have a Claude subscription. So this is already kind of built into the Claude subscription too. So like on the web, that is what it is. But I'm pretty sure this would also work inside of Cursor because the Opus model is really, really good. And if you give it some types of instructions, like a skills file, I think that's kind of what makes it go a pretty long way, if you know what I mean. Okay, cool. So, all right, cool. Let's see. Okay, cool. Now, what I want to do is give it that architecture diagram and say, okay, and I want to go into plan mode. And in plan mode, what I'm going to do is try to see if I can have it help us generate with this first phases of steps so that we can kind of chunk this out. And then I'll show you what we do from there. So, okay, cool. So I want to build this MVP. Actually, here we go. I have a thing. Cursor agent workflow. So this is something that's built into Whisperflow. And if you don't know this by now, it's so amazing. So if we go to home here, I'm going to show you real quick. There's this thing called snippets. And like these snippets literally save my life and they're so amazing. So I'll show you this. So this snippet right here is called Cursor Agent Workflow. That's what I said. That's all I said to Whisperflow. Hit edit. It will autofill automatically when you just say these 3 words. Whatever words you want to say. You can say whatever words you want to say. And it will autofill whatever text is in here. So you can say your emails, your phone number, whatever if you type in certain things all the time, especially prompts like this, it's so handy to have something like this in your bag. It's just amazing. So Whisper is amazing. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, I have a referral code that helps support the channel, rfer.me/WISPR. I mean, people who've watched me like code with this all the time swear by this all the time too. And everyone else who uses it, like it's really, really good at this type of thing. Yeah. I will get to the chat, Zach. This is one of the few streams where I'm actually kind of more focused on making sure I get some of the content front loaded. And I will get to the chat, just a FYI. I'm a little bit behind and please forgive me. I feel like other people want to participate, but I will get there. So I appreciate everyone's patience with this too, because there's some really important stuff here. And I want to make sure that people are getting value from this right away. So in this prompt here, it says translate architecture. I need you to organize the work in phases and make more to-dos so we can hand the phase work off to different engineers, agents, and chunks that can either be done sequentially and or parallelized. Be sure the to-dos have the phase X and refer to it in its content. So basically what we're telling it to do is to chunk out this plan, this architecture plan, into different phases for us as part of this plan. And my favorite model to do this right now in Cursor is Opus 4.5. And so we're going to go ahead and just hit go here. So it's going to read in this file and start to do that for us. So that way we'll have something here to work off of. And so now that I got some time for the comments, let's go back up and see what's going on. So have you ever tried to use code instead of chat? That way you can just push your changes to the new branch on GitHub. Yes, I have done that. For starting a new project though, I feel like, I don't know, like this is the workflow I've kind of worked off of, and this is kind of works pretty well, if you know what I mean. So there's a growing rumor around that Sauna 5 was going to be coming out in December. Opus 4.5 just came out, bro. I believe it. Like, that'll be so fire. It'd be like insane, you know? Let's see. I'm building a SaaS for recruitment, and I wondered if you had any ideas for the best way to extract data from PDFs and Word document structure it other than just OpenAI or backend. If you haven't tried the Mistral models, they're really good. And that's part of the AI SDK. V5 gateway and stuff like that, which is really awesome. So yeah, we're cooking up the PDF thing, which is super amazing. Google's OCR. Yeah, so Google also has some updates to OCR, which we'll also want to look into as well. That's what I think. All right, let's see. Yeah. I'm 3 months into web design and I'm doing pretty good. And I made a few projects and got decent reaction from people. I want to dive into code and make real world products. Can you give a roadmap? So I think the roadmap, is literally just to keep playing and trying to code and make stuff. You know, I feel like once you start to get into like making an architecture plan like this in Cursor and then talking to and just getting a basic functioning thing, you'll start to like figure out what your favorite stack is. So I like this stack, you know, Convex, Clerk for authentication is nice. They play really well together. And then, you know, like the stack that I'm using right now is really, really great. Next.js, it's fun. But like if you're still new, it can be a long, daunting task to try to learn everything. And so just don't get too intimidated. Take it chunk by chunk and just start to ask lots of questions and try to learn as you go, because you'll start to pick up things as you go. And I guess don't be afraid. Like there are other people who are building software and, you know, they're able to kind of take on some of these capabilities. Some may have more experience with you than others. Like some people are already experienced in the software industry. All you have to do is just get your hands dirty. And if you apply yourself every day, that type of information actually compounds, which is really nice. So yeah, don't forget that. I guess you got to say, yeah, or don't get discouraged. There'll be other people like who've had a lot of experience in different realms that can be helpful here. So yeah, like I think going forward in the future though, design is going to be much more important than ever for stuff like this. So that's what's up. Okay, cool. I can see that Claude Web is running a lot longer than what Cursor would normally allow. Exactly. I have not seen Cursor running this long. Cursor can run long. I've had really long sessions with Cursor, especially with one chat. So they fixed a lot of different things now. So you can actually have a longer conversation with Cursor, and it will do this automatic compaction / cleaning up of tool calls and things and continue going forward with tasks. So that's something that I've seen as a huge change in Cursor in the last like updates, probably in the last month or so. And these guys ship updates like crazy now. So they're super aggressive now. Once we have this plan now, what I like to do is review it here. And so this plan is not yet saved locally. So I hit save to workspace by hitting this little button here. So that will push it up here. So Cursor has a plan section now that they save. And so this will actually show us the entire plan. So this is like the phase 1 foundation. And then we're going to work on the authentication. And then once we get that set up, we can also set up like the files, upload things, and also work on the database layers, and then these guys and these as well. So this is kind of the way that we're going to break up how we're going to actually implement this app and to make sure that these things are implemented here so that they're working accordingly. So this is our plan. So the engineer is going to do this. We're going to set up the base Next.js 15 project. And here's what we've created here. And then we're going to also make sure that we have, Tailwind v4 and the convex configuration. And so I think what I'll do is then just tell it how we should proceed with these steps because like, to be honest, like I can probably set up some of this stuff, but like, yeah, we'll just say use the Next.js starter and so forth. So authentication is parallelizable after phase 1. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is about the Clerk provider stuff. And then file upload system is parallelizable after phase 2. Okay, perfect. So these are the things here. And then so this is currently our phased plan that it's going to reference. I think, does it talk about referencing? Okay, and then here are the actual phases of steps. So if we wanted to kick this off, if we hit build, it will try to like do everything in one chat. And sometimes it's able to do it, but especially something like this, which is so large, and you want to make sure it's done correctly, you can check mark these little things to the left and hit build a new agent. So this will allow you to keep the concerns very focused for the agent and not get too distracted. And the general rule of thumb for me here is generally try to keep some of the same tasks that are related, especially in phases like together. And then if you can kind of see, as you start to build software, you'll start to get familiar like, that task seems more complicated. I'm not going to give it too much. I'm just going to give it one task for one agent and then go ahead and build that out. That way I can continue to iterate on that stuff. So that's kind of the way that you may want to approach it here. And that's kind of the way that I'm thinking about this here as well. So yeah, this is kind of that workflow there. Before we do anything, what I like to do is initialize a Git repository. So this way that we'll have all of the stuff we've made so far saved and it can be referenced later on in case something happens. So like in case something goes wrong with our plan or who knows, whatever happens. So let's go ahead and initialize a repository. So we hit this little branch up here. We hit initialize repository. We hit initial commit. And then I think what else do we need to do in here? So there's a DS store file that I don't want. So I don't want any of that stuff. So, and there's these different packages. So you see there's like thousands of files. We don't want to check them in yet. And so one of the things that we're going to want to do is I'm going to start a new chat. I'm going to say, please help me generate a git ignore for this Next.js project that I'm about to start building. Okay. Okay, here we go. And I'm just going to tell Cursor to generate this for us. And typically you would just find this on the web and just put this in, but basically it just generates this file. It's based off a template generally. And this is already in every model's training set. They're really good with this. I don't have to use Opus for this, by the way. I could just use another model, but it's pretty much fine. I could have just done, Composer one or something like that. So I could keep this now. And then so if I go back in here now, I should be able to see the git ignore file added. And then we can see, let's see. Let me go back down here, scroll Y. Changes. Oh no. Oops. Let's see, refresh. Okay, cool. So yeah, so I had to hit the refresh button. That way everything went away. Hit the plus sign. So all of these files, if you can kind of see here, will be checked in. So my git ignore, package JSON, cool. All of this stuff with the plans and everything, and go ahead to initial commit. And then we can publish the branch. So publishing the branch will then push it up to GitHub. And that's really important so that if something happens to my machine, something like melts down, all these ideas for the plan won't be lost, and I can pull them down later on. Or if I go to another machine, I can pull those up later too. So that's kind of the way why you want to publish it. So when you hit publish here, it's going to ask us two things. It's going to say private repository or public. So I'm going to keep this private for now, just because it's just, I don't necessarily need everything public. And so there it is. It's already available on GitHub. So if I hit open on GitHub, it'll actually open up to the GitHub page, and you'll see this little lock file, means it's private. And this is actually our code here. So if we go to cursor, and if we go into the plans, remember how I was showing you the implementation plans and stuff like that? Here's the plan file, and here's how that stuff kind of renders. It renders really nicely in here. And then we also have our translate PDF stuff. If we go back here, oh, my internet hopefully didn't die. Let's see. Interesting. So go back here. Cool. So if we go to the data model thing that I was telling you about earlier and that we were using Notion for, now we actually see them rendered really nicely in here. So these are the data flow stuff that you can actually review. And it's really nice because GitHub renders these types of things. And here's the state machine that we're going to be taking a look at when the PDF is dropped, when the upload complete, and this is what happens at each different phase. So these are the different states that happen. Having this mapping is so helpful for your AI agents. So this is kind of where it is there. So type definitions, all that good stuff. Yeah, this stuff looks great. I love this. This is so cool. Yeah, I could spend hours just looking at this stuff. But yeah, sorry, I don't want to lose my lights and stuff. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Oh, I'm going to make sure my light stuff doesn't fall. For those who don't know, my studio is kind of on a... I have a little light that's kind of hanging here, and it almost fell on me, so it's okay. It's pretty funny. Okay. All right, let's go. So we're almost here. Let's go ahead and start things out. So, okay, we have these things here. We have that. Okay. All right, so we have these here. And then I think what I want to do is that I'm planning to kick off this plan with new agents. And I also want to make sure that the agents are aware of our original architecture doc and that they should be able to reference the MCP that's connected for shadcn, because the components for the UI that we're going to be using is called Colt UI. And I think they should be aware of that, but I just wanted to double check. And let's see. But I just want to double check and see if there's, okay. I imagine we'll start phase 1 with the Next.js starter templates. And I think I've already done a shadcn initialize, but I'll need you to inspect my repo for that as well. And I think that's it. So, all right, cool. So here we go. We have everything set up, and I want us to reference this guy for the architecture plan. And then let's see if there's anything else. Data model. Yeah. Okay. And MCP JSON. Perfect. Yeah. Nice. Let's see. Is there anything else in here? Oh. Okay. We should also let the agents know in our plan that they can use ref.tools, MCP, and exa code MCPs, so they can make sure they implement code with the latest information. Okay. Docs, information. Okay. Perfect. Cool. So getting this set up is going to be pretty cool. Hello, I see you live. First time I join. I go watch from the start. I will sub and have a nice day. Hey, thanks so much for joining in. I appreciate that. That's so nice. I export to Claude and save style guide. Yes. Okay, cool. I've never shipped anything. I went to school for game design. And I've always struggled with game dev. When I try to do apps with AI, I always start simple and then I end up trying to solve the world problem. That's such a common problem because it's so easy to go really big. I've done that a lot of times. And then I'm always regretting it myself. And I'm man, I should have just scoped this down. So sometimes, especially if you're just getting started, start with simpler apps. I started with a transcription app last year, right? I just wanted to learn, like, I have this problem. I want to see if I can solve it. I just want to drop a file and have it transcribed, right? Then from that, like, I learned, all the database stuff and like all the Stripe stuff and Convex, which different providers I should be using. Like, you learn everything else along the way. So don't be worried. You're going to figure that out. But don't be scared, right? Like, start with smaller scope, really simple things. Like, this is kind of a simple app, translating a PDF is pretty simple, but there's a lot of other details here that we're going to build off of, because the reason why I'm getting very detailed with all my different specs here is because, this app's going to scale, right? So if I have like more UIs, more features, more dashboards, shadcn is perfect because that's a design system. And then the Colt UI stuff is something that sits on top of that. Those animations and those other things are already built in. So when I tell it to add a button or certain things, it's going to be more aware that, like, hey, I have a registry that's already registered with Colt UI. I'm going to grab their button, not the shadcn button, not someone else's button. I'm going to use that one. And so that way you have much more consistency in your design across the way. So that's like one of it. When I add more features, it's going to just now feel more cohesive. That's one part of it. And the other part of it is like authentication. A company is being paid by YC, and they're have big companies that are deal with all that stuff. So I don't have to worry about, did I vibe code and put the key in the front end or something like that by accident? It's like, it's already an established pattern along with these database providers. So that's kind of why I choose this stack that we're doing with here. So Cold UI, doc for instance, Colt UI. Okay, so Colt UI mentioned the architecture doc. Great. Should agents add Colt UI or other registry components, or just use default shadcn? Yes, registry components. Cool. And I think it's already in the registry, right? Oh, it's not. Oh, okay. I thought it was. I guess not. Yes. Yeah, that's the next step. So in the MCP server setup, there's this thing that they want to set up here. So I'm going to say that is correct. Yeah. You are correct. And we should get it set up like what they mention here. Okay. Perfect. So now it's going to read the URL and everything. Perfect. Awesome. What was your first message? I don't see it in here. Export to Claude and save style guide. I'm not really sure what that means, or if there's a different message that's further up. Will there be updates in game? Every time I play the game, there's no one to play with me. There's no motivation, like some leaderboard, something like that. Priyank, this is something that I will probably get back to. Right now, I just want to like ship this app idea because it's pretty forward in my mind. This is like something that just happened. And I feel like, my friend who went through this issue is continuing to, like need this type of service. And they're telling literally everyone in their whole neighborhood here. And like, they're all asking me for the app too. It's like, okay, like, these 70 to 80-year-olds have discretionary income. And so like for them, if they go travel, they want to be able to access something so that they can do this if something happens in the future, right? So I can just say, hey, for $80 a year, this thing will be with you. And then I can add other features. I'm going to say, hey, maybe for another $100 or something, you'll have someone who can be on call 24/7 that can help you with real-time translation, right? So like there's a lot of gateways that this can go into, but we're starting off really small. And I think this is going to be, for me, it's like, hey, any cool business opportunity like this where literally it's been given to me, it's really awesome. I love the game idea, and that was a really cool thing because that taught me the power of the models. So 12 days before Christmas, for those who don't know, I made a multiplayer soccer game. And in the multiplayer soccer game, if you go to yeeball.com, you can play against other folks right now. So this is a 5v5 chaotic soccer game. So you can start a match. You can literally just scan this code and join in on my game anytime you want. If you don't scan the code, you'll actually see it from the lobby. Like if you go to the lobby right now, like go to yeeball.com, you'll actually see the game currently available in the lobby. You can actually join in. So you can say like how many, hey, I want to join in this game, click it. And you'll see like, hey, Ray is already there. If you want to change your name, you can change it to like YOLO, hit enter. And then now you can be like my competitor and so forth. You can say, I'm ready. And then you can play. If I close out, you can kind of see this. This is all real time sync. We played matches around the world. Literally 10 of us were all playing at the same time from Australia to Hawaii to California to Europe, all over and so forth. And this is real time. So whenever you're seeing this ball move, it moves exactly at the same time as other people's screen, which is kind of insane. So I made this in 12 days with the sprites for all the teams, all the characters, all the movements. This also works on mobile, which is kind of crazy. So on mobile, you'll actually get like a joystick and everything. So if you refresh, it'll kick me out and then it'll come back in, says join OpenAI. So you'll have like a full on, this is like, you'll see like the little joystick with the analog thing kind of working. It works on an iPad. It works on all these different things, and you get speed boosts and all that stuff. So this was a fun game to make, and I will probably add features, but right now it's getting deprioritized over something that has like actual like usefulness, and like this can actually generate some money for me because my neighbors are literally asking for this product for me right now. So I thought, hey, not only are they asking me for it, I can take you along this journey so you can learn with me. So I think that was a really cool idea. And that's kind of how it got started. So yeah, I think more on the other game later, and we'll kind of see what's going on with this plan here. So let's take a look here. So the agent instructions, perfect. So now before starting it gives us a little more details. So before starting any phase, agents must be aware of the following resources and tools. So the architecture spec, available MCP tools, so shadcn, ref tools, Xcode, Convex MCP, and then the current repo state. So like the shadcn CLI, and the Next.js, no Next.js set. So here's the design philosophy as well. No cognitive load. This is great. Obvious affordances. If you can figure out what to do in 2 seconds, we failed. Com feedback. This is great. So phase 1 project is sequential and must complete first. So like this is the thing that I want to lay out. This is a great update to our plan, and even updated our to-do for the first one here. So if I can go down here, we'll see our to-do up there. Create the Next.js with app router TypeScript. Perfect. Perfect. This looks good. This looks like a really good update here to our plan. All right. So it's done the things. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is go back to this little Git thing. So we'll see that there's changes here. We're going to stage the changes, and we could even read the diff if we wanted to. Here's all the diff stuff. Perfect. And then I'm going to hit this little generate commit message. So Cursor will generate that commit message for us. We can commit it. And when we sync it, that'll push the changes from our machine over to GitHub. So that way everything's in sync and you don't miss out on anything. So this will keep the little diff here. I'm going to hit the little close so that it closes itself out. And so I think now we're ready to start some new conversations. So now that this is done, I'm just going to hit the X so it closes it out. And we're basically just reviewing our plan here so we can move forward with this whole system here. So what I'm going to do is just going to go ahead and hit create Next.js app and just do this in one window. And then we'll move on to the next one. So I have Opus 4.5 set, and we're going to go ahead and use that for now. And they're going to say build with new agents. So here we are. It's kicking off a new chat, and this is what it's doing right now. We're able to see it here. So let's see. Don't sweat it, Ray. You can get back to game development when you can. From what I've seen and heard, it's one of those things like golf. Once you start, you just won't stop. Yeah, the game development is really fun. But I also want to feel like a lot of people in my community have been asking a lot of like, they want to see me make an app from scratch. So this is how I'm going to make an app from scratch. And it's not an app to just throw away. This is literally an app that people are demanding me for, like around me. And what's really funny is that most people would never make this app. Like anyone you would talk to on Twitter would be like, oh, that's dumb. That's just a AI wrapper. And we're like, hey, that's cool. Like you engineer, you can get stuck over there with that. But like literally I have people like who have money and want to pay me money for this idea. And you can actually build this idea using AI, right? Like you can get stuck over there, like making fun of me. I don't care about you. We're going to get some money right now. And like, that's what's exciting to me, like business opportunities. Like not only that, like if money wasn't even the thing, cause like the money that's going to generate, sure, it's going to be profitable, but I don't really know how big it can get. The fun idea here is the fact that you're going to solve a problem in someone's life. Like I've already done this by hand. Now I'm just going to basically make an app for this, right? And to be able to change not only my life, but future people's lives, you know, in the like my other neighbors and whoever else is traveling who has this problem, they can just call upon this app and they can do it, right? Or their loved one can do it, which is really nice. And like that's the type of things that I live for. Something that is like bigger beyond me, so that when I pass away, like I left something behind to this world that other people can benefit from. And I think that's really, really cool that that type of thing exists. And I want to do more of these types of things for the world. And that's kind of why I'm trying to show you along. So like, not only can I do this, you can build this along your side, me as well. And you can take these ideas and ship them. And you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So I think what it's doing right now is just planning its next moves. And I don't really know what's going on right now, but we'll see. So I think Cursor is kind of trying to think here and figure out what it needs to do next. If not, I'll just kick it back and restart it here. Let me just make sure I'm up to date and everything with Cursor, and then we'll check back in here. So that's what's up. I actually think it's cool that you're designing an app. Okay, so there's no updates. Good, cool. That people need, got a soft spot in my heart because I care of certain people in my family that got sick when they were so old, so I love it. Yeah, no, it's so cool. I think there's a huge moat right now for people who like are not looking at people in their like 70s or 80s or even like 60s and so forth. And the reason why is that like it's a huge business opportunity right now, because I'm gonna like spill some beans here, but basically these people have had a longer time to have their assets accumulate in the market. So anyone who's bought a house, who's owned stock, they've owned it for a long time. So they've accumulated a lot of value. Now they're trying to give it out to their kids and grandkids and so forth. And they have a lot more discretionary income than maybe someone who's just getting started in their lives in their early 20s, right? So in terms of people who are spending money, like that group of people historically have done really well. So whenever like the baby boomer era has entered, buying cars, buying houses, the prices for everything has just gone bazonkers. Now in this last phases of life, think about all the different services and things that they need. I only know this because I'm pretty close to a lot of people in this type of age range. And so there's like a lot of elder care. There's a lot of other services that if you talk to anyone in elder care, they would love anyone like us to go in there, start making apps and making their lives a lot easier. And they would pay lots of money, right? And this is something that these AI models can also help us with, right? So for my friend, I'm designing a system that's going to have a sensor, like a ultra millimeter wave system, which is not going to be invasive. There's no like actual camera system that's looking at them. But I can tell states of things like, has he fallen? Is he on the floor for too long? Like, has he slipped and fallen, right? Like I can get those sensor inputs like in real time and then feed them back into another system that can do some type of, other types of like automated processes to kick off, right? So these are the types of things that I like to problem solve for. And I feel like there's a huge moat or a huge opportunity that maybe other like big venture firms are not going to be into. It's like, it's not the next $1 billion or $1 trillion idea, but if it helps my local neighborhood and I can make an income / living from it, I don't see why not, right? And you can take them. There's just too many ideas to implement. So like, there's not enough people like me to do them. And this is the time to do it, which is now. Start building with the stuff now is all I got to say. You know what I mean? So it's really cool that we're able to do this here live. So it looks like Cursor is having a little freak out moment. So I'm going to just try again. That says implement the following from the plan. The plan is attached for your reference. You've been assigned to do this. Please, these to-dos I've already created. Do not create them again. Okay, cool. This is like the internal plan, I guess, from Cursor. I'm going to try again. Let's see. Oh, I see. It blocked you from check out Super Design when you have a chance. It's amazing at web design and app design. You can copy an app into it and customize things for you. How did you find out about it, Brian? Really curious. This is the exact problem. What it's like. Yes. Yeah. See, like the elder care stuff, especially with falling. Like the other thing too, it's like you can't always be there when stuff happens, right? And like the other problem is when like I try to put like an Apple Watch, but then they forget to put it on, or like something that's around their neck. They'll be unconscious if they fall, right? So having cameras are kind of weird around the house, to be honest. Like these people don't want a camera looking at. I mean, I don't even want cameras like installed and looking at me, right? Like even though it's going to be saved locally, like I don't know, like I don't want to have to scrub through footage. Like there's other ways to get that information. I feel like that's kind of the best way to do it. So what's happening right now is Cursor's now kicking off the process to install our app and get things set up for us. And that's kind of what we're witnessing right now. I had to hit stop and restart, which is kind of what's going on there. Offline mode and automatic emergency button. Yeah, man, that's what's up. You should add a chat lobby where people can wait for other people to join and allow users to choose a match up with. Oh yeah, for the game, I think that'd be really cool. A chat lobby is kind of fun, like so people can chat. That'd be really cool. Why am I charging for the Discord? So the reason why I charge for the Discord is because I don't want everyone to be in there, to be honest. I want to have a filter so that if it's something that's like discretionary income for you, please like join in on the Discord. If it's something that's going to like literally interfere with you getting food or getting costs of living or will impact your life, please do not sign up for the Discord. I do a lot of free content here on my live streams. You can chat here in the live streams. You can post here and leave comments and so forth. That's probably your best bet. I feel like for me, the time that I do have, I want to dedicate to people who, on this live stream like this, but also like in the Discord, there's other people get to really chat with each other. And kind of where I'm kind of going with this, if you weren't here to capture this earlier, is if you go to startmy.ai, I'm going to be doing like a paid cohort because there are other people who are going through similar problems. And like maybe your problem is you just need someone to help you walk through an app idea, or you need someone to ask questions like me to say, I'm stuck at this part of my deployment. How do I get past and integrate this? Or how do I integrate this feature? So if you have tried to deploy and it hasn't really worked out, or you want to get a good system to get going, this is what I got going on with Start My AI. So in February, I'm going to kick off a cohort, and I'm only going to have 20 spots. I'm going to keep this really small because I'm trying to figure out, how I can work together with these group of people. And so if you get on this email list, you'll be able to, hear from me first when this opens up. And I'm only going to open up for a couple weeks to get people to get signed up. And once those 20 people are in there, it's going to be pretty much closed down because I want to make sure I can focus on y'all and make sure everything's going pretty good. But it's basically going to break down to 3 weeks. We'll meet for like basically 60 to 90 minutes on Tuesday and Friday. And so we'll cover like getting stuff set up, pretty much what I'm doing here on the live stream, but you'll be able to ask me more questions. So there's different levels to this. I want to focus more on like these cohort type of things. And also want to focus more on events like in person. So that's kind of where I'm going to be going with this as well, is that like we can go up in person and hang out with other people. So throw your name on the list. It's free to do that. You'll be hearing from me as well. And this is kind of where you'll be able to do that. And for those who don't know, I used to be an engineer who worked at Apple, and I've worked on these devices here that you see, like from your watch to your phone through all these different devices. Literally billions of people have been able to update through some of the work that I've been doing on those products. And I've had, decades of experience in the industry working on software. And now I'm actually have learned web development / learning web development. And I'm teaching you my process that I'm doing basically live and teaching you how I think like an engineer. At the end of this whole thing, it's not going to be about memorizing code or memorizing steps. It's about how can I ask the questions to the AI system to produce the results I want? And then how can I build like a vocabulary of, design patterns or user interface things or references that I can go look up and inform my new decisions to, execute on my ideas. And so that's what you're going to be seeing here live over the next couple of days / weeks as I build out this app. We're seeing already how we got from the design components and like those really cool like things to now translating that to the architecture for the app and what that's going to look like, to then now eventually shipping the app, getting my first paying customers, and then like letting people like you try this out, which is really cool. I think this is a really fun idea for us to build live together. And we've broken it out into phases of our app so that we can also verify the work is being done and so forth here. So let's see what's happening with Cursor and see where it's got so far. So now let me integrate the git ignore. Okay, cool. So what it did was it made a new public folder. What are we doing here? So let me refresh here. Cool. All right, so now we have our whole app here. So in the app folder, cool. So what did it do? It says, I'll manually set up the Next.js 15 project structure since there's an existing files. Let me create the necessary configuration files and project structure. Okay, so what happened here? So either try using a new directory name or remove the files listed above. I think what we can do is tell it to, I see. Let's see, I'm going to revert this change real quick. I'm going to say, since there is an existing directory, I want you to create a new folder here and kick off the project there. The Next.js install there, then migrate the documents to the new folder. Next.js, let's see, the create next.js won't let us inherit an existing folder, but you may want to verify that or information. Okay, cool. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say continue and revert. So we're gonna revert all the changes that it made. We're gonna go back here. So that way you can try to reinstall everything. So in essence, what we're doing, it'd probably been a lot faster, to be honest, if I would have just gone in and just said, let's go ahead and see if I can just create the Next.js app folder. And so in there, I'll show you what you normally would do here. So Next.js, if you go to next.js.org, there is a get started. All you have to do to get started here, you don't even have to hit get started. You just have to hit npx create next app at latest. That's the command you would run and then pass in and follow the different parameters that you would need to set up. And so in order to do that, it'll actually ask you, it's saying, hey, do you want to set up lints? Do you want to set up, TypeScript and all these different things? And that's kind of what you would do. So that's what it is here. So this is what it's going to do. Now okay, so it's basically what it did is it created a new folder and says, okay, so the workspace has documentation files and minimal package. Let me create the Next.js project in a temp folder and then merge everything together. Okay, so this is what it did. It created it into temp Next.js app over here somewhere. And then now it's going to basically remove this stuff and move them over into and back in here. So, okay, cool. So here we are. Perfect. Nice. Okay, cool. So it did this for us. So a lot of times, like what I was doing was like, I have an existing documentation. I want to give it to cursor and I want to do these types of things. And so this is kind of what we're doing. We're basically overriding it so that it inherits here. So the build succeeds. Now let me verify the app router can be set up correctly. Perfect. Cool. So this is going to be a lot faster. A lot of times you just want the actual tool to make the template for you, not have cursor write it out for you. So I'm just going to open cursor browser. So cursor has this new thing called a cursor browser, which will allow us to see what's going on here. So what's going on? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. Ubiquiti cameras AI can do it as I know. Oh, this is for the fall detection stuff. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check it out. That's awesome. Please have a look. Cool. Is that Ghosty? No, this is just regular terminal, but I have a thing called power level 10K. And that's kind of what you're seeing kind of rendered here with power level 10K. Power level 10K. So this is like a theme that you can basically set up with the ZSH theme, and you can modify these types of things. And it walks you through a little setup to say, how do you want this configured? So you can configure it this way. You can kind of see. I like to have my timestamps and everything. I usually like to have timestamps so I understand how long commands took to run and what's happening in the actual process. So it's pretty cool stuff. All right. Let's see. Okay, so what's happening here? So created the structure, preserved. Let's see, review. Okay. Next dev, eslint dot, perfect. Okay, keep all. Let's see, bundev. Cool. Failed to acquire. Oh. Okay. Port 3000 is in use by process. Okay, can we kill all of our ports? Can you kill the running ports? And then paste this in. Cool. And I'm just going to hit the little plus to make sure these are all checked in here. And cool. Kill -9, process. Perfect. Now process 3000. Okay. Bun dev. If I hit this here, open an external browser. Sure. Localhost 3000. Why is it not running? Oh, okay. Why am I getting 404s? Let's see. Something happened here. SRC. Oh, I see. I probably have to remove existing stuff, the stale Next.js cache. Yes. Okay. Yep. And it just rebuilds. Okay. Bun dev. Okay. rm-rf node modules. Okay. Let me do bun install. Bun dev. Cool. Let's see. Open. Okay. Still getting 404s. Let's see. Curl. Yeah, it's getting the 404s too. It's interesting. I think it has to deal with the SRC. Turbo back. Yeah. Let's see. What are the MCPs you're using? I'm using ref.tools, exacode, and I'm also using another one that's called the shadcn one. So the shadcn one is going to be for our design system. And that's what we're going to use here to basically link into the Colt UI stuff. So these components are going to be the ones that we're going to basically look into here. So this all kinds of cool stuff that they have for the components. And that's basically free there. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so I see the problem. Both the app folder at the root alongside SRC. Yes, yeah, I thought so. Cool. Yeah, I've removed it. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, now it should work. Perfect. Localhost. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, so the problem was the empty app folder at the project root was conflicting with the SRC. Okay, so it's using an empty one, resulting in 404s. Now you can run bun dev and it sure works correctly. Yep, bun dev. Okay, let's see, pkill. What's the process? Let's see, ls of kill-args true. Okay, I'll do this one. So that should kill those processes that are running on port 3000. Let's see, bun dev. Perfect. Open an external browser. Perfect. Cool. Nice. All right. All right. So can you verify the installation should work with our new src/app and that all the different Next.js starter stuff should work? Because I want to make sure that our installation is correct after following this process. It seemed very unconventional. Okay. Let's see here. Perfect. tsconfig. Just all right. Layout looks good. SRC app. Package log. Package JSON. Next config. Okay. Global ignores. Okay. Perfect. And then let's go to our plan. Okay, so then we got to configure Tailwind CSS v4. Perfect. Cool. App router. Okay, Next.js 16, Tailwind v4. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. Okay, cool. Now we're going to move on to the next one. Configure this one with these guys and then add cult UI. So I'm going to group these three together. And before we do that, I'm just going to check everything in. So in our stage changes, they're all staged here. Hit this little thing and commit. Cool. And perfect. So one thing I just realized that I probably should have done kind of going back forward. So I think it would have just been easier just to kind of reflect here on what's going on. So what I should have done is just start the project off with just the next create project. And that way I'll have like the boilerplate stuff installed. And then what I can do from there is drag over the architecture stuff and say, you know, here's the phase plan. Let's just go ahead and start working on this. I was hoping that the setup would just be as easy as possible. So if you're basically watching this is probably what you want to do. You should just go to nextjs.org and hit that next npx create and just start the project there right away. That way, everything will work right from the get-go. And I think that will probably save us a lot of time. And that'll probably be a lot faster than this, to be honest. And so if we want, I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now. I'll show you how fast that is. Because this type of setup like wasted basically lots of tokens to this model to go back and forth. And it's probably like not the most efficient way to do this. So I was just really curious. Part of it was like sort of testing how the models will handle something like this. You know, if you're like not familiar with installing on the web, like what you should be doing. And I feel like the best practice here is just going to be doing it this way. I've been hearing like how good the model is at setting this stuff up. But it can vary, right? If you have something that's in there, it can throw the model for the loop because it's not used to starting from scratch. So the biggest thing is having an empty folder to start with. And so I'm going to just see if I can walk through that process real quick and kind of start that up. So we're going to do this. I'll show you real quick. So one thing I'm going to do is just pop into Ghosty, is my favorite terminal, CD workspace. Okay. And then here, I think we named our project. What did we name our project? I'm gonna go cursor. Okay, so the project we named this one was called Translate PDF. Okay, MK. Okay, so in here is where I'm gonna get everything set up. So I'm in the workspace folder. There's already a bunch of folders in here, so I'm gonna create a new folder. I'm not gonna create a new folder, but basically I'm just gonna create a new folder, and I'm gonna call it mkdir. Let's see. mkdir. I'm going to make this bigger probably so you can read it. Yeah. Can you read this? You probably can. Okay. This should be readable. Okay. Yeah, this is very readable, I think. More plus. Okay. mkdir-p. So that's make a new folder. If there's an existing one, don't make it. Then the folder I want to create is called PDF me or something. Let's see. LSLA med. Oops. Let's see if I can have, is there one called med something or LS? Is it med? I forget what apps I have in here. Med. Okay. I think what I'll call this one -p. Let's see. Translate PDF or let's see. Med PDF or something. Okay, CD med PDF. LS, there's nothing in here. Okay, cool. So I just call it med PDF. Okay, so now that we have med PDF, we're going to go to nextjs.org or ui.shadcn. ui.shadcn.com. Okay, so I'm going to start here. This is probably the best way to do it. So if we do components, get started. So in there, get started here, installation, Next.js. So they have a starter project for shadcn. So if you go to ui.shadcn docs here, it's probably the best way to get started. I'm going to change the dark mode because it's easier to read. Okay. So we're just going to do this. So run the init command to create a new Next.js project or to set up an existing one. So this is probably what we're going to do. And so to add our components, this is the way we're do it, but we're going to basically kind of circumvent the plan that we started off with. So this way we start off fresh from the way that we want it. There's absolutely nothing in here. And if you take a look, there's nothing in here. If I do cursor dot, so cursor will open up a new window. And this is basically our new app with nothing in here. So this is what you're going to see. So from the terminal, the reason why I'm showing you the terminal is like, this is kind of a skill that you should pick up as far as like how to navigate the terminal and run commands in here. And so feel free to ask me any questions and we can kind of go through that. But this is probably going to be our best way to do this. So I'm going to paste in that command. So bun x dash bun, this type of thing. It's going to ask us some questions, I imagine. Hey, what type of app do you want to make? Next.js. What's the name of your project? I just kind of call it med PDF. Cool. Oh, so it already created a folder. So whatever the project name is, I think if I didn't do anything, please try again. No way. Okay. rm-rf med PDF. Cool. So I'm just going to run the same command. I don't know why it failed. That's so weird. Next.js, I'm gonna hit enter. No way. Something went wrong. Why? You know why? It's because we're doing a live stream. That's why. That's so wild. Let's see what it put in here. I'm just really curious. So it did the whole app. It did everything, right? That's wild. I think it works, to be honest, right? So if I do cd my-app, and then bun install, bun dev. I think we're cooking here. Yeah, like it works. Okay, so it just errors out. I have no clue why. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm just going to remove the app then. cd, so pwd will give you the present working directory. So we can see that I'm currently in my workspace, med PDF, and under my app. So cd ... will take you back one level, and then you can do pwd, which is present working directory. And now we see we're in my med PDF. If you want to navigate and see what's in there, do ls, and that'll give you what stuff is in there. So it says my app. So that's what we're seeing in here. We're just seeing my app, right? And if we're doing cd ... that'll go up one more level. And then we do ls, and we see all of the stuff that's in there, which is basically, if you do open space dot, so dot means wherever you're working from right now, that will open up the Finder to the exact location that you are in your folder structure. That's how you can see all these projects I've started. So, okay, so I'm gonna do rm-rf med PDF. So rm-rf, like recursive, is the R part. So these are options you can pass in, and F would be force. So we're just gonna say, hey, remove everything in that folder and going down from in that folder everywhere else. So you can see everything's gone. So it's like, hey, it can't be open. Everything's gone. Cursor's like freaking out. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. That's cool. All right. So if we just do ls-la, you can do a thing called a pipe. So the pipe will allow you to run another command. And so one of the magic of like the shell or like the ZSH stuff is the fact that you can take the output of one command and then pass it off to another process and just kind of keep chaining them together forever. So you'll see these little pipes that are basically vertical, and on your keyboard, if you hit shift, it's not to shift, right above the enter key, there's like a little pipe that's like vertical like that. That's the thing you need to look for. And so what you can do is now you can say, take the output, watch, I'll show you ls-la, and this is how you construct them. So this will give you everything that's in here. Everything that's on the screen is what you have access to. And if you do a thing called grep, what that will do is it can search for certain words. So -e would be the option for the word. So I could just type in YT. And I'm going to hit Command K to clear the terminal right now. If you hit enter, this will show you everything that has YT in there, right? So there's different versions. Like you can type in grep -h, and then H will always give you the help for what's happening in here. So if you're trying to like use any process, you do ls-h. So H will give you the help for ls, the command that we were running. So these are all the options you can pass into ls, whether it's you want to say -a for all or capital A. So a lot of people like to do the shorthand because they do it so often. They don't want to feel like typing in all and all this stuff. The reason why it's important to kind of know how this works is this is the way like Claude Code and a lot of other agents that use the terminal operate from, because it's from language. And so once you kind of understand how these conventions work, this is kind of what they're doing underneath the hood. You'll see they're grepping, they're doing all these different things because that's what old school developers used to do with this type of stuff. They would just literally run grep commands and search for files and do crazy stuff. But if you try to ask one of these engineers to try to explain any of this stuff for the basics, they will have like literally no patience sometimes. The good ones actually understood the value of helping other team members, but those engineers are extremely rare to find. A lot of them are just so focused on their own thing that they don't really want to take the time to help you. So hopefully this taught you something here about like the command line and terminal. Don't be too afraid with it. And yeah, that's kind of cool how you can do these things. So now we're basically back to our workspace. If you open back up, this is all the files and everything here that we're working with. And so we can just run this initial command here from shadcn. It's going to basically say it's broken, but I don't know why. But we're going to just do it anyways. So let's just do this. So I'm going to call this, it's going to initialize. We're going to do Next.js. We call it med PDF. And so now it's going to create a new folder in here. It's going to hopefully install everything. It's going to say something went wrong. I have no clue why. But then we're just going to say open, and then name of the project is called med PDF. So if you do open, that's what's going to open a folder in Finder for us. And this is how we can see that the stuff is in there. Obviously, it's already in there. I think what happened is it probably didn't initialize the shadcn stuff, but I'm really curious. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, if you do cursor and then type in the med PDFs tab. So if you type in the word partially and hit tab, it's going to autofill with whatever's available or give you some options. So that way you can select up and down. So I take cursor, space that. So now it opens up cursor, and this is what we see here. So now that we have the cursor thing, you have the app. If we go in here, you can hit the panel to show the terminal. So you can see we're working from med PDF. And then we hit open dot here. This will actually open up the same thing. So this is the same thing like I'm doing in Ghosty. So I'm just going to get rid of the Ghosty thing for now. So configure it and install shadcn for Next.js. So this is it. I think that's installation. So yeah, I don't know why it's freaking out. So, so let me just see if I can run this command again inside here to initialize the shadcn things. And I think we should be good. So now we're inside of med PDF and we're going to initialize shadcn, and it should be okay. I think that's probably the problem. There's a bug here. So now what we're doing is, now that we've created the project, there was 2 steps that happened in this, what this script does. And so first step is when we went to shadcn, it initialized the Next.js project. So that one command ran the other command to initialize the project and get Next.js started. When it tried to initialize shadcn, that's where it failed. And that's why I didn't see it create the files that it should have created. So all we have to do is run that command again inside of here, and it's going to initialize everything for us. And it's going to walk us through this process because we should be able to see what process we want to do. So for shadcn, we're just going to select neutral, and we're just going to let everything do its thing. So now the shadcn components here should pull itself up as far as like what we're currently referencing. So that's kind of what it is here. There's a new way to do this, but I think this is probably the way that we're going to work from right now. So now that we have this set up, what I'm going to go ahead and do is check these files in, because you can see everything's already ready to go. I'm going to say initial commit and hit commit, and it's going to say, cool, where should we publish this branch? And then we're going to go ahead and publish it to a private repository. So we're going to do the private thing again. And there we go. So now it's on our private repository. And so now we've created the folder that we're in. It's called med PDF. And so from here, we can see our app is in here. And if I go and run the app, it should be able to run correctly. So we do bond dev and go ahead and open the cursor browser, and the cursor browser will open up in here. So it's all very happy and things are working pretty good. So that way, to me, this is going to be like our best way to work from going forward, is that now we know our installation is working as expected and shadcn is initialized, and like going from here should be a lot easier. Okay, so now that we have our plan here, we still now have to transfer those plans and documents over. So this is what I'm going to do now. So this is what I'll do is like transfer this over here and just say, okay, I'm going to say copy path. I'm going to go plans. I'm going to say copy relative path. And then I'm just going to say over here, if I touch a folder over here in my root directory and I go to this little folder, I can hit paste and .cursor.plans. So what that does is it'll create this folder called .cursor.plans, And now what I'm going to go ahead and do here in our plans is drop this guy in over here, has a little plus sign. And now our plan basically transfers over. So this is our plan now installed into this project. And so we have this plan available. So I think we've already done this first step. The MCP JSON is something that we want to initialize as well. So we want to make sure that that goes over. So that's there. So it's going to be aware about the shadcn JSON thing. And then I think what's the other thing that we need to transfer over here to? I think it's going to be the components thing. So under components package, tsconfig. I swear we had something about, oh yeah, components JSON. Okay. I don't see it. Components. Yeah, I got rid of it. Okay. So that's that there. Okay. So here's med PDF and we have the shadcn set up here. All right, cool. And we have this. Let's just double check everything. Cool. Whoops. All right. It's probably going to be the hardest part. And then the rest should be smooth sailing from here. So we had to create an SJS project, which is good. I have the plan and stuff checked in. Let me just get those checked in so I don't lose those in the heat of the moment. All right. And then we're going to configure Tailwind CS4 design tokens. Okay. So we're going to do that and then run shadcn latest init. So it will already have some of that. And then add the Colt UI as well. And then initialize the Convex project. We'll do that later. So we're going to hit here with next, build a new agent. So now it's going to do the next commands. See, I may have already done this with the MCP, but we'll see. I'll start implementing phase 1 tasks. So here we go. Cool. When are you visiting London? So I was just looking this up on my flights and stuff because I have lots of points. And so I'm going to try to plan a trip. If you can let me know in London when it's going to be sunny and it's going to be warm, it'd be great. So I'm very used to, if the weather is under 73 degrees, I have to get my coat and jacket. I have like blankets on and everything. So I can't really do cold too well, but let me know. Why not use the new shadcn editor? So that's the thing I was also looking at as well. And I thought like that'll be another fun one to do. So why don't we just start another project with that? So ui.shadcn.com here. So one of the things that I don't understand yet is like, I would love to have the editor via command line. And I think that's probably coming. So we take a look at the editor. So if we go to ui.shadcn.com, the other reason is the initialization for Colt UI comes from, I don't think it uses base UI. Let's see. It's not a component library. It's a release and collectible components. So their packages, I don't think are based off of base UI. Installation. So they're using Tailwind CSS, Framer Motion. I'm not sure they're compatible with it via CLI v3. Oh, configure the registry. Wow. Okay. Yes. So we're going to be using Colt UI. And so Colt UI, I don't think has the latest stuff updated for those components. So that's kind of why I'm sticking to this right now. Because I want to be able to use like some of this type of stuff. And like the interaction window for the expandable cards are going to be super interesting for me. Like this is kind of what I want to do is like try to like minimize a lot of things so that it stays out of the way. And that way it's not too distracting but very useful for some of the people who want to use this type of thing. So morph surface is going to be really cool. So like I like these types of things. Like the labels as well. It's really fire. Side panel. This is really cool. So you can literally like do like app experiences just like this. It's so crazy, right? Popover form like this. Those are fire. Like these are crazy fire, right? I think there's also like a download form. Let's see, download, upload. Okay, I thought there was one, but maybe not. Yeah, so that's part of the reason why I'm kind of doing that one there with this. Okay, so what happened here? So we now have the registry correct here. Perfect. And then now we already have this configured and we now added the Colt UI components as well. So that's pretty cool. And we're going to keep that. Add these changes in. Yeah. Okay. See how much faster we're moving now with all the stuff set up. So this is really cool. All right. So that's that there. So we're going to have Now you can, cool. So I think what's happening is there probably is a bug in cursor plan mode, I think, where the check marks for the to-do are not getting updated for this plan. Okay. Can you review as the to-dos didn't get updated there along with the chat ID here? I don't think, let's see. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's that there. All right. So the next thing, so the reason is probably because we dragged the plan from another project and put it into here. And I think this is like a bug that I'm going to let the cursor team know about it. But as this works through the issue, the plan has its own YAML format with to-do statuses that need to be updated. So the 3 tasks that are completed. Okay, so now it's going to mark them as completed. And it usually puts the little chat ID at the bottom. Oh, it is. Yeah, it does have them here. I've updated the to-dos and great. Oh, what's going on? What did we do? And completed the, I also noticed the current repo section lines are now outdated. Cool. Perfect. Okay, we're good now. Okay, this is great. So now for the next thing I want to do is just check that updated plan and commit that as well. I don't need to push it up yet. Okay, so initialize convex project and configure convex JSON. So this is something I want to do as well. I want to just walk through it. I love configuring convex. Starting, because this is pretty easy to do. We don't need an LLM to do this. So let's see. There should be a getting started. So we're going to do Next.js here for convex in the docs. And then all we have to do is just basically create next app, whatever the latest is, and npx convex dev, I think. So npm install convex. This is all we have to do. So I'm going to do bun install convex is all I have to do for me. So in here, what I'm going to do is just going to open up here and I'm going to do bun install convex. Sorry, bun install convex. Hit enter and boom, convex is installed. And so now that convex is installed as a package, nothing's going to happen until I hit bun dev, bun x convex dev. And so now this should say, hey, you haven't configured your project yet. We should do something about it. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go ahead and create a new project. What's the project name? Because we already have the name of the folder called pdf, and it's already in parentheses there. I'm just going to hit enter. And then it's going to say, where do you want this? I want this to be in a cloud deployment. Yes. And so it's going to create the new project on our actual thing. If you haven't signed into Convex yet, it'll ask you to sign in. And so now it's going to provision the dev deployment and it's going to put the Convex deployment in the env locals and so forth like that. So that way we have the URL and everything should be linking. So now this is pretty much ready and running. So then what it does here locally is it has a folder called Convex, and basically our database is ready to go and ready to be configured. And so what's nice is anytime we make changes to our Convex files, this will be updated down below. So this is the thing that we're doing here. So yeah, I'm just going to walk through the to-dos because it's probably going to be faster / easier for me to do instead of delegating that to an agent, because why waste tokens when you can just run one command just like we did? And so I feel like that's the best way to do that here. Because I don't know, this project means a lot to me, and I think doing it by hand and kind of showing you how the underlying stuff works, you can delegate this too. You can tell the agent if you want to do that, but I feel like, I don't know, this is kind of a mix of both, if you know what I mean. So now that we have that set up, I'm going to check those changes in as well. So I'm going to go back here to agent review. Everything's going to be checked in there. Perfect. Dude, -4 degrees in London, bro. I can't, bro. I can't right now. I can't. Dublin isn't too far. Oh, I love Dublin too. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. What's happening with the E-ball? I'll have to update you on that a little bit later, man. Yeah, it's all is good though. All is good. Yeah. So this will keep running until we make changes. I'm gonna hit Control-C to stop this little process for now. And see, Control-C. Okay, cool. That way it stops itself there. So now that we're done with that task, we're going to go back to our plan. And what I do up here sometimes is I like to right click and say close others. That way I just eliminate all distractions. And then I do Command J, which will basically remove the terminal. But if you want to bring that back, you can just always toggle this panel on and off up here. And then you can also toggle the sidebar, just kind of removing this guy by, closing the chat and so forth. So I'm going to close this chat and I'm going to close this too. So that way we're kind of get focused. And so Cursor has this new thing where you can actually adjust the views. You can do an agent view. You can do an editor view. You can do Zen view, where it just shows you this. You can just do the browser view. I made one called Vibes Only. So Vibes Only is basically you're just here in the prompt window. If you want to bring in the other stuff to see, you can actually toggle the sidebars if you wanted to, or you can toggle in these guys and bring up the file trees, which could be very helpful. So in this case, I could just bring this one up. So this is our Vibes Only view. And because I don't need this right now, I'm going to leave that here. So as of now, I'm just going to follow up on the plan and see what else we need to do here. So this is a nice view for me and it's really presentable and I like this. So this is done. Now we're going to create next application and add the environment variables here too. So as far as a clerk thing, let me know in the chat, do you want me to set this up manually or do you want the agent to set this up? I'm going to show you real quick. So if we go to clerk.com, this is the authentication stuff. Pretty much there's quite a bit of companies who use them. I use them almost exclusively, really. I like their platform and they have like a very generous plan. So for free, up to 10,000 monthly active users, you basically pay zero. So if I'm going to get people paying like $100 a month, like my first 10,000 users will more than pay for everything. After the first 10,000 users, it's just going to be 2 cents per monthly active user. And so all my plans right now just have the free one. And to be honest, I kind of like the Clerk branding because it says like, while I vibe coded my app or like engineered my app, having Clerk to back your authentication will basically say, this guy's pretty serious. We can't really not that they can't DDoS it, but it just shows a lot more branding. And I kind of like the brand of Clerk so far. It's like pretty, it stands for a lot. Whenever there's problems or there's a security problem, they immediately get on it and they'll tell you what happened and what went wrong. And that's kind of why I've always appreciated them. And that's just kind of the way that works there. So yeah, that's what's up. So we go to the docs Next.js. We go to here. All we have to do is just hit this little get started. We add the Next.js into terms of like, oh, this is their starter app, I think, right? So create a new app. We can just, all we have to do is add this to our thing and then add the middleware for our app and then add the Clerk provider stuff. So this is something I can give to an AI agent, or I could just say copy prompt or open in Cursor. So there's like now use this pre-built prompt to get started faster, which would probably be the fastest way for our app. And I'm really curious to see like what this looks like for phase one for me. So let me go back up here really quick and just read that and just see what it says. So for phase one, it says authentication. So engineer implements Clerk provider with Clerk Convex. So this is a really special one. So Clerk webhook. And so what I could say is for the Clerk integration, exit code and these types of things. So MCP tools to use, it does tell it about this and it tells it about the Clerk provider setup. So that I'm really glad that it says this because this is what we want to get. We want to get the latest webhook information to get set up here. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can kick this process off. And just before we do that, I just want to make sure everything's checked in. So it is. Cool. All right. So now that we have that stuff set up, I'm going to go over here and says we've already initialized that, create the Clerk applications and add environment variables. I think we already have our convex JSON too. So if we go back up here, convex, yes. All right. So now create Clerk application and create environment variables. Okay. So for Clerk, beyond that, I have to go to my dashboard and get that set up too. So let me just go ahead and see if I can get that set up here for a sec. I'm just going to see if I can go to dashboard. And under my dashboard, I don't want to expose any customer data or anything like that. So I'm just going to hit create application. So Clerk has a way, once you go to your dashboard, to then allow you to create the application. And that's basically what I've done here. Now that we have our application, what I can do here is just go ahead and say med PDF. Let's give it the name here, hit create application. And so with create application, it's going to say, cool, this is what you need to do. Just add the project here. And then basically set up the Clerk API keys and everything. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is go to here, because this already has it in the instructions. We did this as part of our plan. We're gonna say build a new agent. So, okay, so create the app providers with Clerk provider, deploy skeleton app with Vercel environment variables, add users table to Convex schema, and create users TS with Clerk by ID. Okay, so add users. Yeah, I think add users table to Convex. Okay, so we're gonna do these two together. Clerk application, then add environment variables. So I think this is already created, and let me go ahead and add the environment variables. So I'm just going to do this bun add Next.js, bun add this. Whoops, bun add Next.js. Okay, awesome. So now it's installed our Clerk Next.js thing, and then these environment variables, I'm going to go ahead and put them in here. So I used to have a blur thing. My current thing is broken right now for the blurs, but let me see if I can get this up and running. Is it still here? Let's see. Okay, blur screen. Blur. Okay. Oh, awesome. Okay. Sorry about this. Let me see if I can get this here. So where is my blur? Pixelated? Sweet. Okay. I'm going to assign this a hotkey. Please stand by. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So my pixelated is going to get the F4 hotkey. Cool. Oh, sweet. Okay, cool. Nice. All right, cool. This is much better. All right. So now I can operate. Appreciate everyone's patience here. So we first added this here, and then the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to do this provider here. And so I'm going to get this little key here. And then what I'm going to do is going to go to .env.local. And so that's currently not set up, but let me see if I have my, oh yeah, here we go. So here's my env local stuff. These are private keys that I don't want to have exposed. But basically I can just kind of show you what this looks like right now. Is it F4? Yeah. Okay. So I have my convex deployment, my convex URL, and then these are the keys that I got from the other side here. So this is from Clerk itself. And then this is what it's got to set up now. So if you're using this, so what I'm going to do now is now that this is set up, I'm going to then close this and make sure everything's good here. So we have the stuff set up, settings JSON. What is this? Oh, okay. And then I have my bunlock file. And then what I'm going to go over here, it's going to hit copy prompt. So the copy prompt is the LLM quick start guide, but I don't think I need this right now because we're going to install it using the plan up here. So, okay, so we're going to follow these steps here for the next plan. So this is going to be initialize convex project and configure, and then create Clerk application, add environment variables, create Clerk providers. Okay. I think this is going to be it. So we already added these steps here. And then deploy skeleton app to Vercel with environment variables. Okay, so we'll do that a little bit later here. So initialize convex. Perfect. I'm going to build with new agents. So this should be able to add, I'm just going to do all these in phase 2. Create the users table, implement convex webhook handler. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. I'm going to do all these. Phase 2, since we already have everything set up with Clerk, I'm going to just check these in real quick. Commit. And then what I'm going to do now is just hit build for these plans here. All phase 2 is just going to be done together. 40 to-dos. Whoops. No, that's not what I want. See, I'm going to hit this one. So I have to scroll down and it says build with new agent. So that's what I meant to do here. So that's what I'm going to do. So now it says 5 to-dos and it has just the phase 2 stuff. And that way I'll keep everything kind of in together. Yeah. Yeah, the way I'm hiding the keys is this thing called cloak. That's what's up. I've tried better off and I don't mind them. I like them. But to me, I feel like with Convex and Clerk, it's just super easy. Why not Supabase for auth and DB? So I prefer Convex for the TypeScript reasons and also for like a lot of the tooling that's built around the AI coding space. And what I was explaining earlier is about like all the tooling that's built into the backend from like the WebSocket stuff that's set up like everything is written in TypeScript, and I don't have to write a lot of extra code that I normally would with Supabase to have everything kind of synced up with hooks. And then like what ends up happening is after a while, then like the AIs actually lose context. They're getting better at this stuff, but with Convex and like AI coding and TypeScript, front end and back end, like everything kind of works really nicely. So that's the primary reason. So London is a vibe. Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, that's right. We're talking about this. What's going on earlier? Reinstall the shadcn. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's what I ended up doing. Let's see here. Bruh, the backend's important right now, low key. Let's see. Okay, cool. So what's happening here? So based off of the documentation we gave it earlier, I had already set up the keys that it needed for Convex and Clerk. And so it's now looking up the documentation for how to get the authentication set up between the two. So this is what it does. It does the auth config. So it adds this. This is from the documentation. It makes a new providers file, so an app providers for the Convex stuff. And then for the layout, it adds this in too, which is nice. And in the schema now, which is basically defining the users that we were defining earlier. And then now it's going to just do a quick run to make sure everything's working okay. So cool. So now it's going to create a webhook handler for us. So the webhook handler, so that whenever new users are added on Clerk, it's going to sync them over to our database, which is cool. Awesome. And while it's doing that, I'm just going to run the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.